Hello guys, now you might be having problem if you go and do your certain rental. That is for those of you that have multiple CUD. Maybe you worked in two different companies. You did 6 months contract here, then the contract finished. You went to do another 4 months contract in another company, or you worked in one particular company. After doing 6 months, the company they sold the company to somebody else, and you did on that 6 months contract with the new company. So you have multiple CUD, or you did 6 months contract and that contract got finished, so you went to do the disoccupazione. So the disoccupazione is other reddito on its own, so you have two means of income: the 6 months job that you did and your disoccupazione. So if you go to do your certain rental, you might be having some problem. The government might tell you to come and pay them some certain tax back. So in this video, I'll be giving you a practical example explanation on how they do this calculation and why they ask you to come and pay them some certain tax. It is because of what the Italian call no tax area. That could be one of the reasons, but I'll just explain and give you, just this video is just to give you an idea of how they do their calculation. Now, first of all, I did a previous video and I told you that we have 3 levels of tax here in Italy. So you can go and watch that video. I'll put the link of that video in the comment section. Now we have what we call 23%. That is, the government said if you know you are working from January to December, whether through Fabrica or through business, anything you are doing, and your money is no more than 28,000 euros, that government will, you are supposed to pay a tax of 23%. So government will take 23% from that your money. So if you are working and your salary is more than 28,000 for a particular year, up to about 50,000, they will take about 35% tax. So if your money or your business that you are doing, it is more than 50,000 euros that you made that year, you are going to pay about 43% tax. That was what the government said. I did it in my previous video. So the government now also say, okay, it is not fair for us to collect tax from everybody. So there are some people that their salary is too small. So this type of people, we should not collect state tax from them. They call it IPEF tax. So that is what we call no tax area. But what is this no tax area? People that their salary is no more than 8,500 euros. So if you are working here and your salary is no more than 8,500 euros, you fall into the no tax area. So the government said they should not collect state tax from you. They should not collect IPEF tax from you. So that is where the problem is. So if you come to work with me, Henry TV, and I give you a 4 months contract, and that within that 4 months you received 6,000 euros, meaning it fell under the no tax area, which is under 8,500. So I did not pay the IPEF tax for you, because what you received when you were working with me is 6,000 euros. So after that contract expired, you now went to another company and they gave you 8 months contract. And that 8 months you now worked, and you worked up to about 16,000 euros. That was your salary for that particular company. So because you receive 16,000 euros, the company now removed 23% of that your 16,000 and they paid to the government. So 23% of 16,000 is about 3,680 euros. That was the tax you now pay to the government in this your new company. So when you now go to do your certain rental, they will tell you to bring these two CUD because you worked in two different companies. So when they put these two CUD together, it will now amount to 22,000 euros. So you did not pay tax in the first 6,000 euros because it was below 8,500 euros. But when you now put all the money that you work together, because what government said is that from January to December, if the money that you work together is no more than 8,500, they should not collect IPEF tax. But when they now put everything together, it is now more than 8,500. So the amount is now 22,000 euros. So you are supposed to pay your IPEF tax, which is 23%. So if you remove 23% from 22,000 euros, it will give you 5,060 euros. That is what you are supposed to pay. But what you paid for that year was 3,680 euros because you only did it, you only paid the one you worked for 16,000. So if you minus the tax that you are supposed to pay, which is 5,060 euros from 3,680 euros, you will be left with 1,380. So the tax that you are supposed to pay for that year is supposed to be 5,060 euros. So you did not pay it completely because you did not pay tax for that 6,000 that you worked before. So when they now do the calculation, they now discover that it's remaining 1,380 euros that you are supposed to come and balance the government. So that is why those of you that have multiple CUD, that is one of the reasons why, that is where your problem normally come from. Now you can say, okay, If you now have a wife that is not working, they say, okay, because your wife is not working, they do the traditional for your wife. We used to do the traditional for children, but since they started as your unico, you don't do the traditional again for your children. So you only do for your wife, except those children they are more than 21 years old and they are still under your care, you can do the traditional for them. So since your wife is not working, they do the traditional, which is tax reduction, they reduce it for you. If you have a house that you rented, because you rented that house and you are paying house rent, they also reduce some certain tax. You did one or two operation in the hospital and you paid some money. So they'll tell you to bring all the receipt that you used to buy medicine at the pharmacy, the one that you used to do go to the hospital. So because of all those expenses, they also do this tractioning. You bought a house, so if it depends on the things that you have, they do the tractioning. So this 1,380 euro, at the end of the day, they might not tell you to pay 500. They might not tell you to pay 1,000 because they've been able to reduce it from all these things. But if you don't have, if you are not married or you don't have a house or you don't have anything where they will do that international for, they will tell you to come and pay this full 1,380 euros. So this one is just a rough calculation for you to have an idea of how this particular thing work. Some of you will say it's not fair. Why will government tell me to come and pay this money? Now, when you were working in your own company and you were receiving 2,000 euros, I was doing the same job, the same hour, and I was receiving 1,008 because I was paying the EPF tax. You, in your own case, you were not paying the EPF tax because they felt your salary would not be more than, because the type of contract you have, maybe it's just 3 months contract. They felt you are not going to exceed 8,500. So you were not paying the EPF tax. So you were eating that money. You were eating that money while I was paying the tax. So now it's not your turn to come and pay that tax that I paid before. So it's not as if maybe government is giving you a fine to come and pay. The money you have already eaten it. So it is your responsibility now to bring out that money and pay back to the government. It's not as if government is giving you fresh money to come and pay. So please make sure you share this video so that you get to as so many people as possible. And don't forget to use Send. That happens to be the best app everybody are now using to send money to Nigeria. If you put my promo code Heroes TV, that will dash you €5 in your first transaction. You can get Send from Apple Store or from Play Store. Thank you and God bless you.